Have you ever wondered why your legs feel heavy and colder than other parts of your body, even when it's not particularly chilly? Or why, after walking just a short distance, your calves feel stiff, as if someone has tied a rope around them? I've met many people like this. They eat regularly and move around on their own, but they don't realize that the blood vessels in their legs are gradually narrowing, bit by bit, preventing blood, oxygen, and nutrients from reaching where they're needed. But today, I'm not telling you this to make you worry. On the contrary, I want to offer a very clear promise. With just 4 simple, completely natural ingredients, you can feel a significant change in your legs in as little as 1 to 2 hours after use. It's not a miracle cure, not an expensive product. This is a formula I've thoroughly researched, based on numerous medical texts and real-world experience from those I've guided. It helps blood vessels dilate, brings more blood to your legs, nourishes the endothelium, and most importantly, helps your legs feel warmer, lighter, and easier to walk without having to wait for weeks. And you can absolutely mix it at home. No special equipment, no high cost. You just need to dedicate a few minutes each day and choose the right time to use it. If you've ever felt worried that your legs are gradually weakening, then today could be the day you start to bring them back to life. Before I guide you on how to mix the blend, there's one thing you need to understand first. Why does blood struggle to reach your legs? And why do we need to help blood vessels open up? Our bodies have thousands of blood vessels, large and small, and all of them have a thin inner lining called the endothelium. It's like the soft skin inside the vessel walls, very thin, very sensitive. When the body needs to move, this endothelial layer signals, open up the blood vessels to send blood to the legs. But as we age, this endothelial layer begins to weaken, becoming less responsive, like someone losing their agility. As a result, blood isn't delivered to the legs at the right time in the right place. Have you noticed when you step out of bed in the morning, your feet are cold, your skin is a bit pale, and walking feels stiff? Those are signs that blood isn't flowing well to your legs. It's not because your heart is weak, but because the small blood vessels in your legs aren't opening enough. The consequence is that your leg muscles lack oxygen and aren't properly nourished. So you tire after a few steps and have to stop and catch your breath after climbing just a few stairs. The good news is your blood vessels can still open up if you know how to reawaken that endothelium. The body has a very important substance called NO, nitric oxide, which is specifically used to open blood vessels. When there's enough NO, blood vessels will naturally dilate and blood will flow more easily to your legs. But as we age, the body produces less NO. Therefore, we need to supplement with foods that help stimulate or naturally produce NO. And that's why I've chosen 4 special natural ingredients. Each has its own mechanism, but the common goal is to help blood flow more easily to the legs, helping your legs feel warmer and your muscles stronger. You can imagine the muscles in your legs like a garden. If blood flow is the irrigation water, then for the garden to be green, water must arrive at the right time in sufficient quantity. If the blood vessels are like squeezed water pipes, the water flow is weak and the plants gradually wither. When you can open up those blood pipes, the entire garden, meaning your calves, skin, joints, will flourish again. And the beauty of it is, you don't need medication to do that. Just the right food, used in the right way, at the right time. You can help blood flow strongly to your legs in just 30 to 60 minutes. The effectiveness isn't imagined. Many studies have shown people with peripheral artery disease, after using these substances, can walk further and longer after just a few weeks. I will guide you on how to combine these 4 ingredients right now, from dosage, mixing instructions, to the best time to drink for optimal results. You don't need to change your entire lifestyle. Just a small glass every day, at the right time, is enough to help your legs feel noticeably more comfortable. The first ingredient I want you to know about, and the most important foundation in this mixture, number 1, concentrated beetroot juice. I remember an old friend of mine. He retired at 67, still active, but every time he walked to the nearby park, he'd only get a few hundred meters before having to sit down and rest. No sharp pain, no shortness of breath, just legs heavy as lead. Later, he learned that the blood vessels in his legs were slightly narrowed, not delivering enough blood to nourish his calves whenever he needed to move. And what made him see a clear change wasn't medication, but when he started consistently using beetroot juice before walking. Beetroot is a purplish-red root vegetable you might have seen at supermarkets or health food stores. What makes it special isn't its color, but because it contains a lot of nitrate, a substance that, once in the body, converts into a powerful signal that helps blood vessels dilate naturally. The mechanism is very simple. Nitrate in beetroot, after ingestion, is gradually converted by the body into a substance called nitric oxide, or NO. You can think of NO as a key that unlocks blood vessels. When blood vessels open, blood flows more easily, in greater quantity, and reaches further into the lower limbs. As a result, the leg muscles receive more oxygen, function more efficiently, and don't tire as quickly as before. And notably, nitrate from beetroot can take effect in just about 30 to 60 minutes, meaning you drink it in the morning, and by noon, you can already feel your legs lighter when walking. And remarkably, this effect isn't just subjective. One study showed that drinking concentrated beetroot juice helps increase blood flow to leg muscles, especially in older adults or those with peripheral artery disease. After about 60 minutes, nitrate is converted into nitric oxide, which then dilates the femoral and tibial arteries, bringing more blood during activity. In another trial on people aged 65 and older, drinking 140 milliliters of concentrated beetroot juice daily for 7 to 10 days significantly increased walking distance compared to the group that didn't use it. No serious side effects were reported other than some people having slightly pink urine, which is normal after consuming beetroot. You can find these studies on reputable medical platforms like PubMed Central or NIH. One of them clearly notes the improvement in walking ability and lower limb blood flow in older adults due to beetroot juice. But there's one thing you need to know. Regular beetroot juice, the kind you juice at home, despite its deep red color and sweet taste, doesn't contain enough nitrate to produce a noticeable effect. In clinical studies, they use concentrated beetroot, usually bottled in small portions, 100-150 mLs, but containing 300-400 milligallons of nitrate. That's the dose that has a clear vasodilating effect. You can absolutely find this concentrated type at health food stores or online. Just choose one that clearly states the nitrate content on the label. Once you have the concentrated beetroot juice, using it is very simple. Just measure about 100 to 150 milliliters and add it to the mixture with the other ingredients, which I'll guide you through later. After drinking, wait about 45 to 60 minutes, then start light activity like walking around the house or climbing a few stairs. Many people tell me they feel their legs lighten considerably, and especially that they no longer have to stop and rest as before. Some who used to feel their calves tightly bound also find their muscles more flexible, softer, and less tense after a few days of consistent use. Of course, each person will feel different, depending on the degree of blood vessel narrowing, the body's response, and exercise habits. But what I want to emphasize is nitrate from beetroot is not a drug, but a very natural biological signal, similar to what the body produces when it's younger. When you replenish that signal at the right time, the body will remember how it used to function, and blood will flow more smoothly. I also need to share a few small safety notes for you. First, because nitrate can cause vasodilation, it can lead to a slight drop in blood pressure a few hours after consumption. If you already have very low blood pressure or are taking vasodilators, prescribed nitrates, e.g. for heart conditions, then you should ask your doctor before using this concentrated juice. Second, beetroot juice can change the color of your urine, slightly pink or red. This is completely normal and not dangerous, but if you see an excessively dark red color or it's accompanied by a burning sensation when urinating, stop and monitor further. Finally, do not use it on a completely empty stomach. It's best to take it about 30 minutes after breakfast or with a light snack for better absorption and to avoid nausea if you're not used to the smell of beetroot. I see nitrate as a pathfinder. It's the element that helps your body create a new current to deliver blood where it's needed. And if there's one ingredient that should be consistently maintained daily in this mixture, I believe concentrated beetroot is at the top of the list. After learning about beetroot, which helps open major blood vessels for easier blood flow to the legs. I want to introduce another ingredient that plays a role in maintaining the elasticity of those very blood vessels. Ingredient number 2, garlic. I often jokingly tell my patients beetroot is the gate opener and garlic is the hinge lubricant. That is, once blood vessels have been dilated, we need to keep the vessel walls from becoming dry and stiff so that in subsequent times the body can open them gently and more regularly. Garlic does this very well, especially in people aged 60 and above. You might be familiar with garlic as a seasoning or a flu remedy, but from a circulatory perspective, garlic is one of the few foods that can directly act on the endothelium, the thin layer of cells lining the inside of blood vessels. When the endothelium is weak, blood vessels don't open at the right time, blood flow to the legs slows, causing symptoms like cold feet, numbness, early fatigue, or tightness when standing for long periods. The key lies in a special compound, allicin, produced when you crush a fresh garlic clove. Allicin, along with S-allylcysteine, a more stable compound found in aged garlic, reactivates the eNOS system, the endogenous system that helps the body naturally produce nitric oxide, NO. Simply put, if beetroot is an external source of NO, garlic helps the body produce NO from within. I once met a man named Carl, 72, who loved gardening in his backyard. Every time he bent down to weed or tend to his potted plants, he would experience numbness from his knee down to his ankle. Although he didn't have diabetes or high blood pressure, the blood vessels in his legs had started to stiffen. I advised him to incorporate garlic into his daily diet. After a period of consistent use, he recounted, "I still garden as before, but my legs don't feel numb or twitchy anymore. I feel like blood flows more evenly." That effectiveness isn't coincidental. One study noted, after just a few hours of consuming aged garlic, arterial stiffness significantly decreased in healthy middle-aged individuals. Meanwhile, a longer-term study showed that people who took 600 milliliters of aged garlic extract daily for 12 weeks had significant improvement in endothelial function and peripheral blood flow, especially in the small blood vessels of the lower limbs. Notably, garlic doesn't require high doses to show its effects. Just a small daily amount, when processed correctly, can help the endothelium become more sensitive to vasodilating signals and maintain stable blood flow to areas often experiencing mild blood deficiency like calves, feet, and toes. In addition to fresh forms, garlic also comes in aged garlic extract, which is garlic that has been fermented under controlled conditions to remove its pungent odor and retain more stable active compounds such as S-allylcysteine. Many older adults, especially those sensitive to the smell, often choose this pill form because it's easier to use and causes less heartburn. Just one pill day, equivalent to 600 milligrams, is enough to maintain the necessary biological effects for blood vessels. However, like any ingredient that affects circulation, garlic needs to be used correctly and with safety considerations. If you are taking blood thinners or strong blood pressure medication, consult your doctor before using garlic regularly. Garlic, especially in its raw form, can slightly thin the blood, so when used with these medications, it can increase the risk of bleeding or hypotension. Some people also have sensitive stomachs to garlic, especially when consumed on an empty stomach. It can cause stomach upset, heartburn, or a burning sensation in the chest. In that case, you should consider switching to the aged garlic extract in pill form, which has been processed to reduce irritation while retaining effectiveness. From my perspective, garlic is not a quick vasodilator, but a foundational restorer. It doesn't open vessels instantly, like nitrate from beetroot, but it helps blood vessels relearn how to open at the right time and maintain that flexibility long term. Especially when you combine garlic with regular exercise, the effects will be significantly amplified. Someone once asked me, "I haven't eaten garlic for years. Will it work now?" I always answer, as long as there's endothelium, there's a chance. Blood vessels don't completely die, they just temporarily forget how to constrict and dilate. Garlic is a simple way to remind them every day that your legs still have the ability to recover as long as you give them a chance. And precisely because the vascular endothelium needs continuous nourishment, I often advise my patients to incorporate another group of substances which, while not directly affecting the nitric oxide system, helps blood penetrate deep into the tiniest nooks and crannies of muscle tissue. I'm talking about another group of blood vessels, often overlooked, the microcirculation system. In older adults, when their feet tend to feel cold or they have the sensation that blood is reaching but not quite getting there, it's very likely due to these tiny capillaries being slightly blocked or functioning weakly. And among natural support methods, I've found a special flavonoid, located right in orange peel, that can do this better than many people realize. Ingredient number 3, oranges. Many older adults I meet share a common symptom, prolonged cold feet. Even if they dress warmly, wear socks, or even sit in a heated room, their feet remain icy cold, sometimes numb, or have a tingling sensation like light pins and needles. This is a classic sign of poor microcirculation, meaning blood reaches the area but doesn't deeply penetrate the muscle tissue or skin. And when I mention oranges, they often immediately think of vitamin C. But what I want to talk about here is a different compound, hesperidin, found most abundantly not in orange juice, but in orange peel. Hesperidin is a powerful flavonoid with the ability to stimulate reflex vasodilation at the capillary level, helping blood spread more evenly to areas that are typically hard to nourish, such as toes, ankle skin, or the delicate muscle fibers around the ankles. A study published in Clinical Nutrition showed that just 2 to 3 hours after consuming a dose of 200-250 milligrams of hesperidin, indicators of peripheral capillary blood flow significantly improved, meaning more blood permeated the skin and muscles. Participants in the study also experienced a slight reduction in diastolic blood pressure, especially in the group with chronic poor circulation. I have observed dozens of patients who regularly used hesperidin from fresh oranges every morning, and I can say that the change was not coincidental. They no longer felt that piercing cold in their feet every time they stepped out of bed. The tingling sensation along the shin after long walks also noticeably subsided. The skin around the ankles became pinker, and many people felt their legs distinctly lighter and warmer by the end of the day, instead of slightly swollen as before. The important thing is, regular orange juice does not contain enough hesperidin. The pulp, which we usually squeeze for juice, is rich in vitamins but poor in flavonoids. Meanwhile, orange peel, especially the smooth outer layer, is precisely the natural flavonoid powerhouse. Just 1 to 2 grams of finely grated orange peel, equivalent to about 1 small teaspoon, can provide a hesperidin amount comparable to the research dose. That's why I always remind patients, if you eat an orange, don't rush to throw away the peel. A small portion of peel, thoroughly washed, finely grated, and used immediately, can bring unexpected value to your small blood vessel system. Yum. Of course, the quality of the orange peel is paramount. You need to choose fresh oranges, unsprayed and not treated with industrial preservatives. Organic oranges are best, and their peel can be used whole if thoroughly washed with warm water, mixed with a little white vinegar or diluted salt water. And don't forget the white pith next to the segments, the part many consider bitter, but which is actually also very rich in flavonoids. Some patients ask me, I only eat oranges, I don't take any medication, will that be enough to improve circulation? My answer is always, oranges don't replace medication, but they help the body work better on its own, and that's the most valuable point. Hesperidin isn't something that immediately dilates blood vessels, but with consistent use, it helps the body maintain its ability to regulate blood vessels at the right time, something older people tend to gradually lose. I also gently remind, if you have a history of citrus allergies or are taking strong blood pressure medication, you should start with a small amount and monitor your reaction for the first few days. For those with sensitive stomachs, it's best to consume it after a light meal to avoid stomach upset due to natural acids. What makes me truly appreciate oranges, it's not because they're expensive or imported, but precisely because of their simplicity and effectiveness. A clean orange, A few properly graded peels can make an unexpected difference for the blood flow to your legs. So, we've gone through the first three ingredients in the mixture, each playing its own role, from dilating large vessels, softening vessel walls, to boosting microcirculation. But to create a truly noticeable warming sensation in the feet, helping older adults feel blood flowing more strongly to their skin and superficial muscle layers, I always believe one more piece is needed, and that's cayenne pepper. This is the fourth and final ingredient in the formula I've guided many patients with poor lower limb circulation to use. And the interesting thing is, although only a very small amount is used, its effect comes very quickly, in just about 30 minutes after proper use. Most older adults, when chili is mentioned, immediately think of stomach aches or burning mouths. But for me, if used correctly and in the right dose, chili, specifically capsaicin in cayenne pepper, is an extremely effective aid to awaken peripheral circulation, especially in areas where blood flow is often weak, such as the skin of the feet, toes, and ankles. Capsaicin is the active compound that creates the spicy sensation, but it's actually not simply a stimulant. When it enters the body, capsaicin activates the TRPV1 receptor, a heat and pain sensing point located on sensory nerve fibers in the skin and muscles. When mildly stimulated, these receptors send signals to dilate local blood vessels, significantly increasing blood flow to peripheral areas that were almost always cold for older adults before. There's something I've observed very clearly in my patients, those who often have cold feet, or the sensation that blood isn't reaching the skin. After a period of consistent low-dose capsaicin use, they start to feel their feet warmer after just 30 to 45 minutes, and no longer experience that tingling sensation when sitting for long periods. Science also shows this isn't coincidental. An experimental study measured that capsaicin can increase blood flow to the skin and muscle by over 100% in just 30 minutes of use, by activating blood flow in superficial capillaries and increasing local nitric oxide production. This means even if the large blood vessels don't change, capsaicin can still make blood gush to the periphery, bringing heat and oxygen to deeply cold areas. I used to call capsaicin the starter button for peripheral blood because it not only helps warm but also awakens sensation in areas often numb due to poor blood supply. Some patients thought they had peripheral neuropathy, but in reality, it was just insufficient blood supply to the tissues. And after using cayenne pepper for a while, they began to see their skin appear pinker, feel more sensation when touching their toes, and even have fewer nighttime leg cramps. However, because it is a strong stimulant, capsaicin should only be used in extremely small doses, especially for those who have never used chili or have sensitive stomachs. I always emphasize, less is more if it's right. An amount of just 1/8 teaspoon, if used at the right time, is enough to create a mild and safe vasodilatory response. Trying to increase the dose to warm up faster is not only unnecessary, but also likely to cause burning in the abdominal area or heartburn. There was a time I'll never forget. A patient once told me that after drinking the mixture with capsaicin in the morning, he clearly noticed his feet were no longer cold, as usual, when he stepped onto the floor, even though it was lightly snowing outside that day. Small changes like these, for older adults, are actually very significant because it not only indicates that blood is flowing better, but also helps patients feel that their bodies are still responsive, still capable of recovery, and not as unresponsive as before. Of course, not everyone is suited for capsaicin. For those with stomach ulcers, irritable bowel syndrome, or who are taking anti-reflux medication, I usually advise caution, starting very low and always monitoring the body's reaction. Additionally, if you are taking strong vasodilators, you need to monitor your blood pressure further after use. What makes me particularly value capsaicin is its fast action. While other ingredients need tens of minutes to several hours to take effect, capsaicin helps increase local blood flow almost immediately, usually within 30 minutes. It creates a feeling of blood flowing, not vague at all, that users can clearly perceive. And that's also how I often conclude this mixture sequence, with a gentle kick to the surface to push blood from within outwards. So all four ingredients have been introduced, each with a specific role, but all aimed at one goal: to make blood flow stronger, deeper, and more timely to your legs. But understanding the principles isn't enough. More importantly, how can you combine these ingredients into a simple, easy to drink, effective, and uncomplicated mixture? In the next section, I will guide you on how to mix this blend at home with just a few minutes of preparation each morning, along with the most optimal time of use to get the fastest and clearest results. If you're ready, let's begin. When I first started experimenting with this mixture with some patients, the first question they often asked was, do I need to use a juicer, measure every milligram, or mix it as complicated as making medicine? My answer is always no. What I want is for anyone, even at home alone, to be able to prepare it themselves in just a few minutes each morning. I usually start with garlic, because fresh garlic, if used, needs time for allicin to form. Simply take a small clove of garlic, crush it, then let it sit for about 5 minutes. In the meantime, you can squeeze fresh orange juice, about half a cup, around 120 ml, then wash and finely grate a little orange peel into the glass. This orange peel contains the necessary flavonoids, and when soaked in orange juice, they are easier to disperse and absorb. After the garlic has rested long enough, add the crushed garlic to the orange juice, stirring gently. The smell will be a bit pungent, but it will gradually mellow. Then, add about 100–150 milliliters of concentrated beetroot juice, the kind readily available at many health food stores. Finally, add a pinch of cayenne pepper powder, only about 1/8 teaspoon, and stir thoroughly again. The final product is a reddish-pink mixture with a gentle citrus aroma mixed with a hint of subtle spice and garlic. If you're used to fruit juices, this taste won't be too unpleasant. Most importantly, the effect begins in your body within 30 to 60 minutes if you drink it at the right time. And the ideal time is not just any time during the day, but before your legs are about to become active. I usually instruct patients to drink this mixture about 45–60 minutes before their morning walk, light leg exercises, or simply before going out to garden or climbing a few stairs. This is when the body needs strong blood flow to the legs, and the ingredients in the mixture will provide the most timely support. If used in the afternoon, you should also ensure that you still have a little activity afterward, so that the blood flow is utilized in the right place. However, I generally do not recommend using it right before bedtime, as capsaicin can cause a slightly warm, tingling sensation, which is not suitable for those who need to relax for deep sleep. Many people ask, do I need to eat beforehand when drinking this? I usually answer that a light meal, or at least a few pieces of fruit or bread, is a good option. Consuming it on a completely empty stomach, for those with sensitive stomachs, can cause irritation or a slight stinging sensation in the upper abdomen. But if you're already used to garlic and chili, your body will tolerate it much more easily. One more small point I often mention: if you don't swallow the crushed garlic clove whole, you can chew it slowly after drinking the liquid. This is not mandatory, but it will increase effectiveness as the compounds in garlic work better when they come into contact with the oral and digestive mucosa and are slowly assimilated. And if you truly want to feel a clear change, try to maintain this mixture every day, consistently, for at least 6 to 8 weeks. Positive signs will gradually appear: warmer feet in the morning, comfortable walking, less swelling at the end of the day, and sometimes a greater sense of confidence when climbing stairs without having to hold the handrail as before. Additionally, I understand that not everyone can drink the exact formula I've instructed. Everyone has a different physical constitution, taste preference, and even very specific reactions to certain foods. So, if you find yourself hesitant about a particular ingredient, don't worry. There are still very simple adjustments you can make while retaining the main benefits. For example, fresh garlic. This is a very potent ingredient, but it also has a pungent smell and can cause heartburn in some people. If you're not used to it, you can substitute it with a lightly crushed slice of red onion. Red onion also contains compounds that help relax blood vessels and support circulation. While not as strong as aged garlic, it's much more palatable for drinking. For those who cannot find concentrated beetroot juice or who already have slightly low blood pressure, I often suggest using fresh celery juice, adding a little lemon juice to enhance effectiveness. Celery has natural nitrates and also helps the body produce nitric oxide to dilate blood vessels, and its smell is milder and more familiar to many older Americans. As for orange and orange peel, if you don't have organic oranges or your digestive system is sensitive to sourness, grapefruit peel or dried tangerine peel tea are quite pleasant alternatives. They have a warm aroma, mild taste, and still contain beneficial flavonoids for microcirculation. You can grate young grapefruit peel or brew some dried tangerine peel tea. It's still very effective. Finally, cayenne pepper. Not everyone can tolerate this mild spiciness. For those with stomach ulcers, I often suggest substituting it with a few slices of fresh ginger. Ginger also helps warm the feet and stimulates peripheral circulation. While its reaction isn't as strong as capsaicin, it's very suitable for older adults with sensitive digestive systems. I always believe that there is no single formula for everyone. The important thing is that you understand what you need and choose a method that is both effective and easy to maintain to support your body. If you need flexibility, then there's even more reason to start, because you are taking control of your health. We've now gone through 4 natural ingredients, each small, but when combined, they can bring a significant difference to the legs of older adults. Beetroot helps open large blood vessels, garlic softens vessel walls, orange peel improves microcirculation, and a touch of cayenne pepper stimulates blood flow right to the skin, all requiring just a few minutes of preparation at home. I don't promise this is a miracle, but I believe if you use it regularly, before walking, before climbing a few stairs, or before a morning of light activity, you will clearly see your legs are warmer, lighter, and your steps are steadier. Of course, if you are taking blood thinners, strong blood pressure medication, or have stomach conditions, exercise caution and consult your doctor before regular use. And never view this as a substitute for exercise, medication, or a healthy lifestyle, but rather as a way to give your body an extra boost every day. For me, a timely glass of this drink not only warms the feet, but also reminds us that the body still has the ability to recover if we give it the right conditions. And if you're starting today, you've already taken the first step. Don't rush. Just gently, consistently, and listen to your own body.